This time in the Cameron Journal podcast, co-host of Into the Abiscuit podcast, DJ Lewis is here, and we are going to talk about art and craziness and insanity in his process and performance. I also want to note DJ Lewis uses every curse word in the book, so if you're listening in your car and your kids are out and about or whatever have you, this is a headphones version. I've marked this one explicit, but this is a headphones version for sure if you've got people you don't want to hear a lot of language around. But it's going to be amazing. It's an awesome conversation. We're super happy to have him. This is the Cameron Journal podcast with DJ Lewis. Let's go. This is the Cameron Journal podcast. It's a place where we talk about important things. It's a place where we bring a little slice of the news to you. It's a place where we do important things, have important conversations. It's also things that I like to talk about. My name is Cameron Cowan, and this is the Cameron Journal podcast. Today on the Cameron Journal podcast, I am very excited to have one of my more well-known guests on the podcast today. We're speaking with DJ Lewis. He is one half of the Into Abiscuit podcast with Drew Morgan, so he's kind of in the well-read universe. And we are going to talk about art and comedy and performance art and general insanity. And this is going to be a fun episode. Please keep listening. Welcome, DJ, to the Cameron Journal podcast. How are you?
Oh, man, I'm great. Honestly, I'm a little overstimulated, but I'm learning to adjust. But, you know what I mean?
No, this should be interesting. I'm tired and punchy, and you're overstimulated, so this is going to be great. This is going to work out.
I meant overall. Like, I'm fine and everything, but I feel like there's so much going on in the world right now. I'm in a point of being so just overstimulated. I don't know how to explain it, man. It's hard to keep up.
No, I was just talking about that last night, and I'm gonna circle back to that. But first, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself and what you do and what your comedy's like?
Well, I'm DJ Lewis. I don't know, man. I guess I just I interpret the world through my own lens, and then I don't know, man. I say funny stuff sometimes, you know, and that's fun. I don't know, man. I experience and then I regurgitate that experience. That's perfect. I was to your feelings about being overstimulated. I was having this conversation it was Sunday, so I called my Nana yesterday. Sunday is Call Friends and Family Day. And I was telling Nana last night, I said one of my struggles, especially as an artist, is that the world is too crazy right now. And I feel like there's so many things I should be involved with or I should care about, and there's so much going on, and I'm just kind of out of capacity at some point. Yeah.
To just care about everything and be involved and invested in all this sort of thing. It's just kind of too much, and I'm trying to figure out how to moderate that.
Yeah.
I don't know what that looks like yet, but I need to moderate it.
Yeah, man. Especially where I live right now, we're just now on the ground floor of starting serious anti-racist groups and campaigns, and this is a stranglehold of a lot of those 3% militias. This is obviously Marjorie Taylor Greene's her district is this district, and it's full of militias and Sons of the Confederacy and stuff, and trying to it's just and watching the world move, and trying to keep your finger on it. What can I do? What am I doing? And then you just get to this point where you're just
I'm doing there's too much. There's just too much to do. You know what I'm saying? And like I'm not getting anything done because I'm trying to do everything. I'm just wearing myself out.
Definitely. I feel similarly because I have been, involved in activism. I've been involved in politics since 2005. I've been in activism since about 2011. And I've, been writing about stuff and written a book about stuff. And I'm, online all the time having conversations with people and sometimes giving books away to people who need them and all this type of thing. And I'm getting wore out, I have to say. The burnout is real.
Yeah, man.
It's a thing.
Yeah, man. And down here where we're at, man, like, dude, we got to get these fucking crazy, fucking racist Christian. Like, we have got to get them out of. We got to get them out of politics, man. And like, dude, you would think that right at this point in time, there would be some sort of like, okay, we get it. Yeah, okay, the line has been crossed. We get it. But it's not even like that. You're like, I mean, how do you even do that? How do you even do that with other people? Like, it's not even like your own shit, but now you've got other people involved. And I say, you're like, wait, well, I don't know, man. It's weird.
No, it absolutely is weird. Now, give us a general idea. Where are you? What state are you in?
I'm in Chickamauga, Georgia. Yep.
Oh, yes.
Well, it's funny. Me and you were talking about this right here, but like my buddy Corey, he's done hit his stride, son. He done took off, man. I mean, he hit a artistic plateau. It's been amazing. It's absolutely amazing. We were just talking about it. Who just caught a goddamn, I don't know, man. You just got the wind underneath it, man. Caught fire.
Yeah. DJ's talking about Corey Ryan Forrester. He's one of the trio of the Royal Red guys, who just had a huge viral video and was on CNN and all this sort of thing. He kind of had a Trey Crowder moment with his rant about racism and all this sort of thing. And that video went everywhere. Yeah. There were like major politicals like Michael Beschloss and Jonathan Lemire who were retweeting that video. Like it got to the upper reaches of even the intellectual world where I live. Yeah. We were all over it. So it was quite a thing. It's a very difficult thing when you are out there and involved in it and talking about it and producing media and all this type of thing, like I do, like you do. The burnout can be real. The burnout can definitely be real.
Yeah, man. So I tell you another thing, it's like you gotta be careful. You gotta be careful what you say right now, man. Because number one, you don't want nobody to think you're saying the wrong thing. You don't want to give the wrong influence. You know what I'm saying?
True.
It's a weird time because with social media, you see this happening. Like, we are so narcissistic. Like, we are so celebrity driven. We are so. It's just this weird, crazy. I don't know. There's something that's very distracting about it. So, like, you also don't want to scare anybody because you know that, like, a lot of people don't see, like, you know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's such a weird thing. It's such a weird thing. And that puts you in a weird artistic space. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm having to censor myself on this level of, like, number one, people are listening because they really want to be, number one, validated. And number two, they want and feel they need leadership at this time. You know what I'm saying? And I agree with that too. In a sense, with Corey, man, the beautiful thing about him is that comes from a place that is so genuine and sincere. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, yeah.
That is 100% what he would do. That's what he would say. That is Corey Ryan Forrester. And God, boy, that is amazing to catch that zeitgeist. You know what I mean? That
It is absolutely. It's a difficult thing to articulate the popular rage, but from time to time, people figure it out and they find the right words and they do it in just such a way.
Yeah, man, and I think that's what shot that he was feeling that pull. Like he was able to do that, and dude, I would fucking do. There's no way I would ever fucking do that shit, man. I would fucking goddamn wear my brain out, worrying about being a bad influence. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, it's a difficult place to live. Which actually kind of brings me up to, why don't we start from the beginning? Tell us a little bit about your background. When did you start telling jokes, being funny, doing comedy, all that sort of thing? How did you get into all that?
Well, my daddy was a comic, and I grew up in the comedy catch, and so I was introduced to comedy very, very young. So I was, pretty much hung out there on the weekends with my dad at home. And then I went to prison for about 9.5 years. I got out and just decided, I was like, man, this is always like a bucket list thing. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And jumped on a mic and just started doing it. Regurgitating.
Huh. Taking the world and regurgitating it back at it. What are some stand-ups that you really like and try to model after?
Man, you know what, dude? I have not been a very successful at that. I have either got to 100% be like, I have to be what I'm doing and saying at that moment. You know what I mean? I see. So I can't really say that there's anybody that I really model myself out after. It very much has to be something that is processed and then, but created. Man, dude, how do I explain this? Okay. See, the process has changed now that we're on. Let me explain this. The process has changed since Zoom comedy started.
True.
Let me interpret you this way. So now, this is really fucking interesting. So now what you do is you take a moment, or I am like sounding off that and, watching that reaction and then being able to, like, especially when you're feeling it at that time. Oh God, dude, I can't even express like how excited I am about art right now. Oh my God. Because you can record these moments, you know what I'm saying? And you have like these literal, like when we had the Eat Fruit Friday last week, you cannot write that shit. You cannot fucking write it. You can't, but you can't do it, man. It's just gotta be there. And like, then that's not absolutely not how I used to write, but like, that is how I am writing now. And this is how the process is going now. And then you get to go back and go, and write it down, and you can use it in your other Zoom shits. You're like building sets off just like random experiences, man. And it is fucking wild. All this fucking wild. It's fucking, it's great.
No, I went through something similar myself with comedy. When I first started, I never wrote anything down. Mm-hmm. I would just get up and talk.
Yep.
And I would make jokes of things and all this sort of thing.
Yep.
And so every time I did a show, it was completely unique because it was whatever I had seen that day or whatever have you. Sometimes I would recycle a bit, but I mean, it was literally like, 95% original and 5% stuff to either transition to another thing or to start it off, sort of thing.
Well,
and
right.
Yeah. And then I actually, the hour special I'm working on now, which Drew Morgan's actually waiting on me to record because he wants to hear it. Because I said on Twitter, I really need to record this because I've been sitting on it. I actually, for the first time, wrote the whole thing out word for word and it was a completely different experience just because I got to edit it and test it and say, oh, this would be funnier if it were this way, or this is a better setup for this whole thing, or, oh, you know, this is a really good punchline, and this is this is a good way to kind of bring people back. Like, it was kind of a little bit more planned, and maybe a little bit, maybe the quality is better, but I think the thing I miss the spontaneity of it, because I can't just slip in a funny thing or whatever have you. It's kind of like, okay, this is the material, this is what we're doing.
Well, now, man. Well, now what you can do is you can take those random, spontaneous moments, right, and you can just add them, and it's really like this weird improv. It really is, man. Like, I mean, like last week we were doing costume changes. Fucking, it was like a show. You know what I'm saying? It was like,
Let me set the scene for the listener. So on every other Friday, Drew and DJ do a show called Eat Fruit and Fornicate, and it's kind of like a weird comedy show, but that's also kind of a cult, that's also kind of a church, it's also becoming a great group of friends, like everyone's starting to get to know each other.
How amazing! Sort of thing. Dude,
yes. Yeah, it's becoming a great community. Yeah, so if the listener ever wants to come one, follow at Drew Morgan Comedy, he posts it. It's free and tips are appreciated to people who perform. I'm trying to get to a place where I can do something at some point when I have something that I can show I actually am funny, sort of thing. That's kind of one day in the next couple months. And and so that's kind of what happened. And the last Friday there was one, and I kid you not, dear listener, DJ changed clothes. I'm talking almost complete outfits 4 separate times. The show's an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Like, he was changing clothes faster than Mariah Carey. Like, it was so many. Like, Mariah Carey wishes she could change costumes as many times as DJ did in an hour and a half.
I was having so much fun. I was out of breath. I was dead tired by the end of it, man. I thought I was about to fall out. But goddamn, man, it was so much fun. I had so much fun, man. And that's the way the art is moving now, man, and it's so fucking beautiful, and these communities are so beautiful, and why do the racists want to ruin it? You know, why would you want to do that? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's we're recording this on January the 18th, 2020. This will come out several weeks later, but on January the 18th, we have an episode out today about Black feminism with Dr. Letitia Brown, who is an acquaintance of mine from college who studies sociology and Black women. And I was listening to the podcast over the weekend so it could come out today because it's timely to the news. And there was just so many times, like every 2 minutes, I would just be kind of like, why racism? Like, why racist? And she's just kind of like, because this, because that, here's how it affects. And I'm just kind of like, no, just like I was just, like in disbelief. And the sad thing is, I'm me. I'm biracial. I know. Like, I've lived it, but it's still like, why? Just why?
It don't make no fucking sense, man. I can't wrap my head around it, man. It kills me, man. I'm just like, I don't fucking know, man. I don't fucking know, man. My heart, man.
Yeah.
Well, because I do know, man. Fucking very miserable, scared, privileged, murderous, thieving ass bastards. Goddamn, came down here and wanted to start some sort of monarchy, aristocracy, like George Washington.
Yeah, it's, when you need cheap labor for cash crops, and the natives are no good for labor. Hello, transatlantic slave trade.
Never wanted anybody. They never wanted freedom. But equality was never intended for America, and they hate it that it's happening. But fuck them, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of one of the things that I struggle with people is, on the one hand, you have people who are stridently racist, but conversely, and I find this a lot in the circles I travel in, is there are far too many moderate, reasonable people that are like, oh, but racism is obsolete. And, this is all stupid and black people should just get up and do better and all this sort of thing. And there's part of me that's the nice, kind, reasonable, oh, you should read my writing, you should read my work, I've talked about this, all this sort of thing. And there's another part of me that's kind of like, have you looked outside lately? Have you logged on to any major news website or any social media platform?
Yeah, man.
Because it's like, if you think racism is obsolete, are we watching the same TV coverage about January 6th?
Man, I'm telling you, man, it's crazy. You can look at my local news, my Channel 9 news source, whenever they put out something, dude, you can look down through those messages, and it's like, God dang, people. Are we supposed to be out in public together? What? I mean, what the fuck is going on, man? What is going on?
Well, there's a reason their ancestors wore hoods.
They're all hoods now, and it's just they hate it, and they're pissed. But I mean, fuck them. Back to the original, fuck them, man. But it's just a lot, man. It's a lot, man. It's a lot of you don't know how to. There's a clear line. Here, that's another thing. Those people the same people that did that. See, I think that it was moderate, just pick yourself out. Or what's even worse than that is these suburban moms who are just so they don't want poor people near them. They're it's thick in the suburbs, thick, man, and they know it, and they know it.
No, and the last I've had 2 conversations in the last 24 hours that have been so hard. So my best friend, I've been trading emails back and forth with his dad, and he literally wrote me on Sunday. He's like, oh, racism is obsolete, and this is pointless, and I don't see what BLM is fighting for, and all this sort of thing. And I didn't even reply. I just sent him my essay on racism from my book. I just went to the PDF, got those pages out, and I'm like, please read this and write me back. It hopefully will change your life. And then this morning, my mother sent me a link to one of these new right-wing social media sites, and that was a whole string of emails that I'm not going to go into. And being like, well, the January 6th would have never happened if they hadn't burnt down the country with the BLM protests over the summer. And I'm like, 4 years ago when Trump got in, I don't remember Democrats going to the Capitol trying to stop vote certification. And that shit was
obviously fucking stolen, man. I mean, they had a whole pile of evidence, and they were just like, fuck y'all. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Hillary didn't drag the country through 2 months of false narratives, legal cases, and lies to try to get the election back. We took our lumps. It was a perfectly fine, peaceful transition of power, even though none of us were ready for Trump. And there we go. And we moved forward. We knitted some pink hats, and we had some marches, and all this sort of thing. Nobody on the left was saying, well, it's time to go tear down the government. Meanwhile, 4 years later, the tables are turned, and there's some people in this country who are invested in burning down democracy. Please tell me how these things are the same. Please walk me through that logic. And the sad thing is the logic is there are too many uppity Negroes, and I'm black, I can say that. There are too many uppity Negroes in this country who need to go back to their place. And people who went to the Capitol on the 6th, and apparently people like my mother, despite having a biracial son, we're not going to get into that, would like us uppity Negroes to be a little less uppity.
Wow.
That's really the takeaway that we can glean, is that, the cops may shoot you, but you don't get to complain about it. And you don't get to, have protests and burn down the country over it. But if your presidential candidate loses in a legitimate and fair election, the safest election this country's had in decades, then you have full license to go and steal lecterns and call to hang Mike Pence and Nancy Pelosi. Apparently that's a normal response to losing an election.
Yeah, man. I mean, here's the thing.
the logical dissonance of these things is stunning. Like, let's just say that right now. This is shocking.
I don't know if I don't know if I was necessarily shocked. I'm not shocked by anyone's behaviors. I am more just like I am. I guess I'm surprised at. I'm really surprised at America's response. Number one, I'm surprised that they are going that they have locked all these people up. I don't have any idea who all he has pardoned. I don't know if he's pardoned any of them, but I'm interested to find out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I have not seen any reporting about pardons coming across the wire for the protesters as of yet. I imagine, because today is Monday, January 18th when we're recording this, there's today and tomorrow really to write pardons. I would imagine if a bunch of pardons are going to come down, keep an eye on your news feed tonight and into tomorrow. Because it's going to go off.
Yeah, man. Well, I think a lot of those people very much... They definitely feel that way, but I think a lot of them just wanted attention. Like that Jack Angeli guy, hey, he's getting what he wanted.
Yeah, I mean, I hadn't really thought about it that way, but
yeah, and if he pardons him, and if Trump pardons him, I mean, I kind of feel like, God dang, man, like I don't know, man. A big part of me is like. That's some ballsy shit to do for attention. I'm a little impressed. I'm a little impressed.
Like, you know, it's like if you want attention, maybe just like go sing karaoke. I don't know, man. It's like, something else. See some friends. Like, no need to tear down the whole country.
I mean, think about it, man. You're in this major. This queue is basically this role playing game, right? It's like a LARP. You gotta imagine you're in a LARP, right?
Yeah.
Like building status in this thing by putting these clues together. You know what I'm saying? And going to these rallies and participating in this community. And it's kind of scary when you think about it, because that's kind of what's happening with us too. I don't know how theirs got so derailed. Like there's obviously like a different way that people are handling social media. That's very, very interesting. All that right there, too, is completely mentally has got me something like on fire. You know what I mean? Like I am like so busy, once again, overstimulated, but so busy just picking apart all this stuff. Like, oh my God, like what? Like, okay, so I'm a Q person. I'm on Q, right? I'm on 8th of June or whatever. Talking with my buddies, man. We're sharing conspiracies. We're putting these clues together. We're waiting for the next clue Q drop. I'm going to the rallies. People are taking pictures of me because I obviously stand out, right? Because I'm a Q shaman. So I'm obviously like becoming like a big voice in this community. This is my, you know what I mean? Obviously, it did go completely wrong. But of course, 8kun and those places are for that kind of stuff. Like they're meant to be like that's where you go for your child porn, and that's where you go for your you know what I'm saying?
No, yeah, I mean really off the beaten path, sick, deranged, illegal shit. Yeah, that's all the Chan sites. 7chan doesn't exist anymore. But like 4chan, 7chan, 8chan, which doesn't exist anymore. There was a 5chan back in the day. All those sites, you could find anything, and when I say anything, I mean
huge neo-Nazi stuff, huge, so many Nazis. Yeah, and then there's they've got the mass shooter enthusiasts. Man, all these motherfuckers are still out there, and it's not like these motherfuckers ain't in touch. Oh my God, I'm giving myself panic attacks.
So the one thing I also want to describe for the listener that I think is fascinating, because I have the opportunity to be on Zoom calls with you for book club and for Eat Fruit and Fornicate. I've seen a little bit, a tiny fraction of DJ's home, and I have to describe for the listener, his space around him is I could probably spend a half hour just looking at it and not get all the objects he has around him. There are textures, there are stones, horns, shells, cloth, all this sort of thing. I mean, it is a rich experience
of the world.
It's just like all this just amazing stuff. How do you put all that together? Like, where does all that sort of stuff come from? I've never been like that. My art mentor was like that. She had a 4-square traditional house that was filled with all sorts of amazing, crazy objects and stuff and all this type of thing. And I'm not like that at all. I'm like very minimalist. I move a lot, which doesn't help. All this sort of thing. And I've just never been like a collector of things like that. Where do you find this stuff? How do you put it together? What is that creative process like?
It's Andrea, the love of my life. Some of it's me. Like I do a lot of painting. I do a lot of stuff. But she makes a lot of dolls. Well, no, I guess it's a mixture of both of it. I don't know. She picks up a lot of trash and like dead stuff and stuff like that, and then she'll be like making different art bones and stuff like that, different dolls and things, and then we just collect stuff that looks cool off the side of the road and stuff, or weird rocks, like real. I mean, it's just weird shit, dude. I don't know. It's like, I don't know what to say. I don't know, man. It just kind of looks. I like having stuff around. I like to look at it. You know what I mean? I like to examine it, and she does too, man. She likes to make it. Like we like to paint, and we really. She's not really like so much of a writer, and I'm not so much of a draw or a doll maker. I'm much more of a I guess a stage performer, I suppose. But I do like I do like to paint and anyways. So yeah, man, I don't know, man. I just really like.
Yeah, speaking of the whole performance aspect of it, I feel like so much of what you do is this really. I'm going to take what you do and I'm going to put it in very intellectual art terms right now. So get ready for that. You're going to laugh. Is so much of it is this sort of artist is present, Marina Abramovich performance art sort of thing. To see you and watch you is not only just your words, but the experience of your presence itself.
Well, thank you.
And yes, and so I'm trying to figure out like what inspires you to change clothes, grab an object like mannequin leg. All like where does what does it take to get into that space?
Oh
where
man,
does
that's that weird Dionysian spirit, man. You know, it comes with the experience of art where you hit that like rapture, that euphoric, and you can't just fucking tap. I mean, it can happen. It can happen. It just all the right elements have to be there. I mean, once again, I think a night like that night would have to have, that would be an example of that Dionysian. I always try to bring that kind of thing, especially because I realize that this is a totally different medium. And I think that's why a lot of Zoom shows have really tried to suck, is because they kind of just stood there and try to tell jokes. Where I realize now it's kind of interactive. And like, I don't know, man, it's experiencing this new art form. It is euphoric. It's like the art is the drug, the experience is the drug. You know what I'm saying? Oh man, I don't know. See, it's that you're being possessed, man. So like nothing. I don't know. I feel it. It feels like I don't know, man. But I know that we are experiencing this together. You're like, it's not just me. It's Sarah with her poem bringing it to this level. It's the environment. It's the it's outside. It's the zeitgeist. It's all these different things like they're bringing us together in this community and having this wild fucking really a connection that I've never experienced before. I don't think anybody has this type of weird virtual cyber. I don't know. I don't know. It goes beyond. I guess it is a community, but it's I don't know, man. I don't know what it is. Whatever we're experiencing now, like this, as humans, this human experience that we're sharing right now, is something so. Oh man, just so amazing. It's so I guess I just try to experience that and then try to once again regurgitate or I don't know. That's the best way I can explain it. I don't know. I've been trying to figure it out too. But the Dionysian spirit, being possessed, being over, reaching that point of ecstasy or whatever, rapture. I don't know what it is. I don't know. It's got something spiritual, but I don't know, something that you share.
Is it something that, like with all this sort of performance sort of thing, that works really well on Zoom because it's interesting and dynamic? Is that something that you like? Is that something you've been doing your whole life? Is it like a new thing? Is it like a post-incarceration thing? Like when did that start?
Well, I mean, I've always thought of myself as like sort of like an entertainer, obviously, but I've never felt like. Do you know what it feels like right now? It feels like you are interpreting the world, like literally in those Zoom meetings, like Zoom shows or whatever. It feels like you can type in like a weird social network and you can interpret that. I don't know. Sorry, I'm still trying to think of that. So I'm still there going through my mind.
No, it's all right.
I don't know, man. Regurgitating this, I'm just saying the same thing over and over again.
Well, when did you start finding yourself doing that? Has it been a forever thing, or is it a new thing?
I've always been interested in art. I've always been interested in reading and literature and like just different kinds of art and stuff. I did when I was in prison. I used to work in a mental health area as an orderly. And then I started, for Christmases, I started noticing that, like, dude, these people are so sad. Like, nobody's coming to see them. Like, you know what I'm saying? All that shit, man. So I started so I wrote the warden a letter, and I was like, hey, this Wendy Thompson, can we have some sort of Christmas thing for, like, the mental health people? And she was like, yeah, ma'am. She's like, what are you going to do? You gonna put on play? I was like, yeah, we'll play a little talent show. Can I get some pizza or something? They're like, fuck yeah. And I was like, fuck yeah, then let's do it. And fuck yeah, dude. So yeah, I was writing plays and stuff with had a little talent show, put on a little talent show for the mental health folks. Yeah, it feels about like that now too. Put on talent shows for a bunch of mental health folks.
Yeah. It's an odd sort of thing. So when it comes to people that have not experienced your work, I will briefly describe and I want to talk about it. So when DJ talks or does something specific for a show, it's like if rap and slam poetry had a child. And then it was put up at 2 times speed. And that's kind of what he does.
You can come to a comedy show, and like you get experience, like, and it's all in good. It's like it's all in good humor. Like you're watching this show, like you're like all these talented people who you might not have ever had like us right now. Never, dude. Like I mean, I don't know, doing podcasts now, you don't ever know who you're going to run into, you know what I'm saying? But, like, I would say, like, otherwise, you know what I'm saying? Well, I guess without art, none of it. Well, I guess, that was a stupid thing for me to say. But, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, there's nothing, there's no stupid responses. You can't say anything wrong. It's fine. It's a
No, I guess I was just
non-judgmental
thinking, like, how
environment
many,
here.
like, being down here, it's just weird now with social media and our social connections. How we're just sharing this world together, so unique, and we're making so many good friends, so many diverse friends from all over, and it's just it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful to be experiencing this moment. Like, it's so terrifying. It's so fucking beautiful. So amazing.
Yeah, I mean, how has the pandemic changed
every
what you
way.
do?
I'm just now processing it. You know, I'm just now like being able to like step back for a second and be like, I'm scared to think. I'm really scared to think anything right now. So I'm not really looking for the future so much. So like I've got to this point where I'm able to process it's almost been a fucking year now.
Next month it will have been.
Yes. And man, being alive, being a human, like humans all together, and in this world, how we have developed in this, and we're on this wave, and it's like, I mean, at the end of the day, you don't know where you came from, you don't know where you're going. This is all you got. You know what I'm saying? We can do better than this, man. Oh my God, we can do better.
But here's the thing I maintain. I wonder if we can. Man. Like I've really, in recent years, I've really kind of gotten boo on humanity sort of thing. And I've really had to take some time to understand my own limitations, and I've never felt more limited before in my entire life. And I was a person who thought I could do anything, be anyone, go however far, whatever have you. And now I feel very limited in scope. And it has really educated me on how limited so many people are, and how specialized so many people are, and how small most people's experiences are. And so I wonder, can we really do better? Is a better world even possible? Or are we just simply not capable of it because it's beyond
I believe we
our
are.
limitations?
I believe, like, in my area is a little different than a lot of people. I think in most areas, if you could just get people to stop. That, you know what? No, it's not. I was gonna say something real hippie like and be like, "You just get people stop hating each other." Boy, that'd be good, wouldn't
it? I mean, that's a valid point.
It's a great point. It's the only point, man. God dang, there's so much to love about every single human. It literally brings tears to my eyes, man. Like, we're fantastic, man. We're capable of such amazing things, man. And just and not in like, and I get it. Like, I know I talk about things in a way that I realize, like, a lot of people. I get where people are wanting, like, Zoom show sucks, and whatever I'm seeing is not their experience, and because we're speaking about this, but it's like, so something that you could take that moment and be able to cherish it, or experiencing it. I don't know what else anyone would want.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of the beauty of these shows and all this sort of thing, is you kind of get this wonderful sort of moment, and it's people of like mind and all this type of thing. But I feel like it's going to be very difficult for a society to move past this. I feel like it's going to be hard to move on. I feel like it's almost like we've reached it's like the Peter principle. We've gone as far as we can go. I mean, so I'm divided. There's the idealistic part of me that is totally with you. Like, there's so much love about people, and people are so amazing, and people are capable of tremendous good, and if we all band together, it can happen. And then I open Twitter, and those feelings fly away from me as fast as possible. And it's just kind of like, okay, we're done. Put a fork in us. It's over. Pack it up, folks. We are.
But that's all cosplay too, man. I mean, this all. Like you. Dude, who even knows what's going to happen with all that, though? Man, they writing so many laws up there in Washington, D.C. right now. I bet their wrists swole up. I bet they got carpal tunnel. God dang, I bet there's going to be laws flying up out of D.C. right now. Jeez, man. God.
Well, I mean, certainly after the inauguration, now that the new senators have been seated and all this sort of thing, after the inauguration, yeah, I'm sure that Chuck Schumer in the Senate is going to be, passing legislation like gangbusters. I mean, it's going to be legislation palooza.
They've been waiting
really.
Dude, I'm so worried about it. I'm so worried about this Patriot Act 2.0 we got coming out. Woo, man. Yeah, we might not be capable of it, but we might not be able to. Man, there's only one thing that happens when you get more laws. You get more crime. That's right, then you get more cops. That's exactly what happens. Oh, God.
Yeah, well, I mean, certainly I think there's going to be some legal reaction to the events of January 6th, yeah? And, that's not in form yet, so I can't commentate and say here's what it means. But, if we start really looking at domestic terrorism, that means there's going to be a certain amount of personal privacy, personal security, all this sort of thing that's going to be sacrificed in the name of
who's a domestic terrorist? Oh my gosh, is it specific to white nationalists? Because it ought to be. You know what I'm saying? I mean, but then what he say? I mean, like, obviously, our hate group. If you're a hate group, who gets to be a hate group? Oh my God, you're coming for all of us. We're all going to jail.
But that's also a matter of perspective, because there are people on the right.
I know it, man. And then what happens then? They start coming after Black Lives Matter. Like, dude, what? Like, man, we don't even want.
Yeah, so it's almost like who do you start investigating, sort of thing. And that's why I say and I think it's the most difficult thing for me personally. I mean, I've built my whole brand on explaining the world in a simple and succinct way to people. And, I read the 150 news sites a day so you don't have to, sort of thing. And I summarize things and say, here's how this started, here's how it's happening, all this sort of thing. And DJ, I genuinely cannot tell you what's going to happen for the next 6 months. And this is what I do. I cannot tell you what's going to happen. And for me, at a personal level, I find that deeply concerning.
Here's what scares me, because we all knew that this last shit was going to happen, because it was on.
It was on Twitter.
That's why we don't know.
Twitter was aware. Yeah.
That's why we don't know. It's bad.
Yeah, well, but even just, after the inauguration and all the, new bailout, new legislation, and all this sort of thing, it's just like, I can't tell you, because it's all dependent on, will Biden be able to get stuff passed? Will they get the vaccine out in time? Will we be able to really tamp down COVID? All this, and that affects everything else. I can't tell you what's going to happen with the economy because I don't know what's going to happen with COVID. I can't tell you what's going to happen in business or growth or anything because it's all dependent on COVID. I can't tell you where people are going to be in 6 months emotionally when it comes to social issues because it's all dependent on COVID and lockdowns and people who are beginning to resist that and are beginning to really chafe against these regulations we've had to do because of the pandemic. It's like we're standing in a room of gunpowder. and somebody is holding a match, but we don't know who.
My buddy, man, he was telling me they can't keep no generators or nothing like that at the house. I mean, not at the store. They sell generators and like for for power outages and stuff. And he was like, yeah, it was like we can't keep none of that, like all that I don't know power outage stuff, like all their like I don't know first aid equipment and stuff like that. That's not a good sign.
Yeah. I mean, just every. No, I mean, and that's even in China over the weekend, because China's having new lockdowns because of the coronavirus. They're having food runs, and people can't find food, and they're starving because people are hoarding food because of new lockdowns. The same thing is happening in Europe. It is such a surreal time to be alive. It's just so strange, and it's kind of funny because I've been waiting for people to try to write about it or quantify it or make art about it, all this sort of thing, to kind of in a weird way sort of explain it, and we're not in the place where we can process what has happened yet.
We're still trying to understand. We're trying to still wrap our heads around what would possess a person to do this, like the whole QAnon thing and all that stuff. Like how could this be in our churches? Like that's so weird. It's so weird to be standing there looking at the church. Like, how could y'all let this happen to yourselves?
Yeah, well, that's as I've always told people when it comes to Trump and company. I said the sad thing is that when people get in a place of extreme desperation, as people have been economically for quite some time, they will oftentimes believe the first charlatan who comes around offering to a solution when no one else has offered one. And the unfortunate reality is that people got desperate, and a charlatan like Trump came along offering snake oil as a solution, and people bought it because at least it was something. It was better than nothing. And that's blame I lay at the Obama administration. They created 10 million low-paying, shitty jobs. A lot of people never bounced back from 2008, and it basically set the conditions perfectly for some charlatan to say, hey, things used to be better. I will get us back there. I will, dare I say, make America great again. And people ate it up because it was something. It was better than nothing. It was better than, the not solution coming out of 8 years of the Obama years. And unfortunately, when you get those situations where people get desperate and they get tired and they're willing to buy into anyone who's willing to do anything, that's literally how you get terrible dictatorships. That's how you got Hitler. That's how you got Franco in Spain, Suharto in Indonesia, Pinochet in Chile. I mean, history's rife with this behavior. It's not new. We didn't invent it.
Yeah, man.
We just have become victim to it.
We came real close, didn't we?
That's what, I had said on the day of the coup on January 6th, and I was at a level of panic that was much higher than most other people. I said, you all do not understand. We came impossibly close to losing democracy today.
Yeah.
Impossibly close. And all the reports have it that, the only reason we didn't have elected officials being murdered was because a few Secret Service agents hid them away within seconds of the protesters. A few brave officers directed people a different way. The amazing actions of a handful of individuals literally saved America.
They're so crazy.
I know. It is, and that's kind of, I think, kind of bringing it full circle. Why there's kind of just this burnout and this exhaustion. I mean, in the last 30 days, from Christmas to now, there was a bombing in Nashville on Christmas Day. We had then the events of January 6th. We had the New Year. We had, a continuing whole thing about the election being stolen. And during all of that, those events alone would be huge multi-day problems. And then we put all of that in the context of a pandemic that's getting far worse. People are dying in the thousands a day. We will be at 400,000 dead in the totality in the next week, which means by the time people listen to this, it will have already happened. I think that's too much for anyone
it's a lot.
being
It's
to
a
take
lot.
on.
And I feel like there's got to be a way for us all to be able to sort of find that groove. You know what I'm saying? Our own little groove. There's got to be but you're scared to adjust. That's the whole thing, man. You know what I mean? You try to take it down a notch, and then you're like,
Yeah.
how am I supposed to what am I doing now? What does tomorrow look like? What the fuck? You know what I mean? It's
Yeah. And it's a big question mark. Every day is a question.
I don't know, man. I have no idea. I do the best you can. Love each other. Have as much fun as you can. I mean, experience the moment. I guess that's the thing that you got to do. Is you got to experience the moment, man. And however you decipher it, shit. Who knows? Just try to, I don't know, try to keep your lens clean.
No, absolutely. How have you managed to get through the pandemic thus far? Have you been doing anything specific to try to make it more survivable for you?
I certainly have began, very much gone into a meditative thing. I'm very much interested in going into spiritual things. And I think that changing my lens in that aspect has been, or not spiritual, I'd say mindfulness. But it's been interesting. I'm watching myself change. We're all evolving in one way or another. Right now we're in our caves. It's weird, man. It's weird. We're like all in our little cocoons here. Like every house is a cocoon now, and it's kind of building its own little. I don't know, man. It's little butterflies.
Yeah, I mean it's an odd thing. So I was homeless for the first 6 months of the pandemic. So between February 29th to September 15th, I traveled 8,812 miles around the country. And so I didn't really have any, while everyone else was staying home and staying safe and locking down all this sort of thing, I wasn't able to do that. I was going to writing residencies and I was staying in hotels or staying with friends or going here or going there. All this sort of thing. And so it's only been since September that I've been able to do the stay at home thing and be in my own little world. And so I feel like I'm 6 months behind where everyone else is emotionally, this morning I had a Zoom call and this was the first day where I was finally I kind of hate Zoom. I finally reached the point where it's I hate Zoom now. And all this, and everyone was saying that a long time ago. It's very odd. So I'm always asking people what their experience of the pandemic has been, because mine was so much different. My pandemic started with a really nasty, terrible, emotionally fueled breakup that was extra traumatizing with a side of trauma. And then not knowing where I was going to go or what I was going to do for 6 months, and watching an amazing year of stuff get canceled because of COVID. I mean, I had a really amazing 2020 planned, and things are really on the upswing.
Yeah.
And I'm still trying to recover from that. And so I'm always asking people what have you gained? What have you lost? How has it been? Because I'm trying to get as many other experiences about it as possible.
I participate in a lot of different things. It's definitely changed, and it's definitely changing, and it continues to change. I don't know, man. You have to roll with it and adapt with it, man. I mean, every new corner. I mean, we didn't know if we were going to have vaccines. There was a whole mask debate. That stuff, all that stuff there, that ain't ended there. You know what I'm saying? That is, that we're going to see a whole lot more of that. Oh man, I don't know. Once again, you just got to roll with it. You just got to roll with it, man. You just got to roll with it. I mean, I think you're doing a great job. Don't you think you're doing a great job? I mean, hell, man, we're walking around and shit.
Yeah, I mean that is true. It's just been kind of I guess I just look at the whole situation as how much has been lost. I wonder if the cost has been worth it.
You can do a risk, any type of cost analysis.
No one does.
No one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, if we knew the answer to that, we would both be instantly wealthy men. That's no. I'm not saying that we know the answer to that. I'm just saying I look at it kind of so much has been lost, so much has been changed. Economically, every change that we thought would take 10 years is happening today. The world has been pushed on fast forward, and I'm getting to the place where I was okay with it, and I was handling it, and I was with it, and I was on top of it, and now I'm just getting to that wall of okay, I can't handle this anymore. Enough is enough. I'm finally getting to that place where I'm full.
Yeah.
I'm out of out of resources. There is no more.
Being overstimulated. You know what I'm saying? It's like, hey man, but I don't know what else you do but just roll with it and just try to find where you're going to, just, I don't know, man. Catch your wave, man. I don't know. It's out there.
Yeah, it's a very odd sort of thing, but we're over an hour, so it's a good time to wrap up. So now is the part of the show where we plug stuff. So now's a great time to let us know.
I'm on Twitter at Gutter Bumpkin, and then I am Into the Biscuit, and then you can find us on Patreon too. We do book club. We got a book club. We're gonna start some new stuff here. I don't know. We got stuff out there, and then DJ Lewis.
Yeah, and don't worry, dear listener. I'll put in links to podcast and Patreon in the show notes. So, well, DJ, if this has been fantastic and spectacular and interesting,
absolutely, man.
Yes, Thank you. I hope we get to do it again someday.
Thank you, man.
That's all for this episode of the Cameron Journal Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Visit us online at CameronJournal.com. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and I love to talk to my followers and listeners, so please feel free to get us on social media at Cameron Cowan on Twitter, and we'll see you next time on the Cameron Journal Podcast.